In this repair video, we're going to be working on a blue phone that was mailed in for no charge. Customer mailed in the phone in this box. I first thought that we have a Ring doorbell to fix, but it turned out to be a phone, and customer included this note here, the mailing form, and it's a Blu Life X2 8-1 charge. So there's a charging problem with that phone. We're going to plug the charging cable and see if the phone is charging or not. I already removed the back cover and the bottom cover here. I have the phone plugged in, and as you can see, amp meter shows 0 amps being drawn, so battery is not charging. Let's take a look under the microscope to see what's going on with the charging port. And first impression, somebody tried to solder the first pin. We do see a solder blob on that pin. Let's see if it's making a good connection. And no, the pin is not making a good connection. This one is good, this one is good, this one is good, and this one is not good. So we have 2 loose pins. Let's take a look at the charging port from the inside and see if there's any physical damage. And no, it looks very good on the inside. So this looks like it's going to be a quick fix. We're going to solder the first and the last pin, and maybe we'll secure the rest of the pins also. Apply some flux. The customer was quoted $68 for the repair. So someone will say, you're charging $68 just to solder those 2 pins. It doesn't matter how much work we put on that phone. Time is irrelevant to price. It may take us 4 hours to work on this phone, or it could take us 1 second to work on that phone. It's still the same price. If it takes us more time, we lose. And if we do it quick, we win. So we do not always win. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. It's 5:42 right now and almost time to go home. And the job is done. Let's test. So pin number 1, very solid, very solid, very solid, very solid, and very solid. And look at that. The phone is charging at 0.38 amps. Battery is probably dead. And right there, the phone is on. And we no longer have the 0 amps charge. That's it. That was a good fix before end of the day. We just got a MacBook Pro 13-inch that came in for EFI lock. Customer said that he had the MacBook for 2 years. He bought it used and he was using it without any problems, and now suddenly it locks and it's asking him for an EFI password. So he brought it in here in hopes that we can fix this for him. Big Boss already disassembled the board right over here. I believe this is a 2016-2017 board. What I want to do is locate the EFI chip on that board. And I know it should be somewhere over here. Right there, win bond. We're gonna remove that chip. We're gonna reprogram it or edit the firmware so we can remove the password, solder it back on, and we should have a working laptop without any EFI password. An EFI password is more like a BIOS password, so the password itself is programmed onto that chip. Now we have to remember that pin number 1 is on the top right, and we can tell by looking at this circle here. can tell where pin number 1 by looking at this angled line here. That's where pin number 1 is. We'll put that board on the side, or before we put it on the side, let's prep that board by adding some leaded solder onto the pads. And now for the fun part, we're gonna program that chip, or reprogram that chip. And we're gonna use our programmer here with this adapter. What we have to do is solder that chip onto this adapter here. This one. And we put the whole adapter inside the programmer, and we can read and program that chip. We bought a huge batch of those adapters, and you can buy them from our website. The adapter is made for 2 sizes, 6x5 or 8x6. So which one is this? This one is most likely the 6x5, and the chip should go on like this because pin number 1 of the chip should align with number 1 on the board. So all we have to do is solder that chip on this adapter board. I have low melt solder on the pads of that adapter, so it takes very little heat to solder that chip on. So this will be plugged into the first pin of the programmer. The first pin of the programmer is up here, so this one will plug in like this and close it. And now we should be able to read from that chip. Let's open up the software, and we're gonna go detect the chip. And it gives us a list to select from. And it's this one here. Select. And now we're gonna read from that chip. Read. So the programmer is currently reading. You can tell by that amber flashing light here. And read successful. Let's close it. We're gonna save that firmware. Let's save it as 2016 MacBook Pro. Bad. Save. Now we're going to open the hex editor, and we're going to read the file that we just saved. MacBook Pro, bad. Be right there. Okay. Let's go back here. So now that we opened the firmware in the hex editor, we're gonna look for that firmware password, $SVS, and the password is right over here. We're gonna fill the whole area with an empty string up to right there. Done. We just cleared the password. So let's save it. Save as. And with this time we're going to save it as 2016 MacBook Pro. Good. Let's go back to the programmer software right here, and we're going to open that file. And now we're going to program that file onto the chip. So we hit the program button and program. So the new edited firmware is being flashed onto the chip. Almost done. Very good. We're done. Now what we have to do is we have to desolder the chip from the adapter here, and we solder it back on the motherboard. So let's do that right now. We do not need the programmer anymore, so and let's grab that motherboard and solder it back on. So pin number 1 is on the top right. Very good. We're gonna let the board cool down a bit, 2-3 minutes. We'll clean it and test. Very good. I'm gonna give this to Big Boss to reassemble, and we'll test. Big Boss assembled the motherboard back inside the MacBook, and now we're gonna try it. So power on, and we're gonna press and hold the option key. If we're not greeted with the password, then it's fixed. And right there, it's fixed. There. So that's it. No more password on this MacBook. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions, and we'll do something else in the next video.